Chidanmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanora Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Rudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi, 13th chapter of Shri Vidyaranya Swami, where the title of the chapter is Brahmanande Atmanandaha. That means knowing Atma, self, is the same as knowing the Brahman. Because the knowledge is Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. And to justify it, he goes through the creation aspect from the Upanishads, where it says that the first, after having defined Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam, the Upanishads, Taittiriya Upanishad switches to Atma. Says from Atma, Akasha Sambhutaha, Akasha Vayu, Vayu Agni, and so on. The whole creation is coming from, is the product of Atma. So Atma, as though appearing as the space, and from space Atma, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. So this is apparent transformation. Why? Because Atma is nothing but Brahman. Brahman means infinite. Infinite cannot undergo any transformation because it is infinite. Only finite can go from state A to state B. But therefore, since I am seeing creation, I feel I am different from the creation, and therefore this is a very vast universe itself as I see it. Therefore, we have to bring in, there is an Ishvara, there is a creation. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, so that triad comes into picture because of the Jiva seeing that rest of the universe. So the analysis for the one who is seeing, so he says, I am seeing it, and the scripture says what you seeing is only apparent but not really real. What is real is the Brahman, which is that which does not undergo any change, is alone is real. So the definition of reality is from the Advaitic point, is one that does not undergo any change. This definition of reality is different from other acharyas. For example, Bhagavan Ramanuja says, whatever you experience has to be real. So therefore, I am seeing the world different from me. Since that is an experience, that is a real. So therefore, it says that whatever is only real, and there is only real and unreal, and in between there is no other classification. Either it comes under Satyam or Asatyam. There is no Mithya according to the philosophers like the Madhvacharya or Ramanujacharya. But according to Advaita, you have the difference in the reality, degree of reality. Absolutely real is Brahman, which all acharyas agree, but definition of the absolute reality as per Advaita is that which does not undergo any change. And since there is a creation, absolute cannot really have any creation because it is infinite. Therefore, it's only apparent creation. And from the physics or the science, we know that if something is appearing as something else, there is a transformation. And since it's an apparent, so it's an apparent transformation, and there is an apparent force causing transformation. That apparent force, according to Advaita, is called Maya. So Mayavadim is only because I am looking at the plurality starting from a singularity. Singularity is not a mathematical singularity, it is from a single to many. So that change state is a force is required, and that's how Vidyaranya also defines here. A force is that which contributes to from Karanam to Karyam. So Karanam is a cause, Karyam is the product. So if there is a change in the state, there has to be a force. So that's what physics also says. So they are following the physical principles, therefore there has to be a force. Since there is an apparent force, you have an apparent change, therefore there is an apparent force also. If the apparent disappears, then the force also disappears. if apparent is understood as apparent, then the creation is also understood only as apparent. That is called mithya. That becomes a jnana. Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. So one who knows that the world is only apparent is a real jnani. Ajnani takes the whatever he sees as a real, and somewhat same way as the other acharyas define what is real, because I am seeing it, therefore it's real. If it's not real, you cannot see it. So justification or a definition of reality is I am seeing it. Whereas the Advaita says because you are seeing it is not really real. What you are seeing is only apparent, that is therefore whatever appears. So how do you prove that? On what basis you say this is not really real, only apparent? So the Advaita goes back to scriptural statement, because the scripture is a pramana here, not because some Shankaracharya or Gaudapada says this is not real. We cannot accept it unless it is a scriptural base. And the scripture says in the Chandogya that we have been talking says that Eka Vijnana Sarva Vijnanam Bhavati. Knowing one thing, you can know everything else. And that proposition is justified by if I have a cause and all the products are apparent effects, then knowing the cause, I know they all apparent products, because the cause itself appears as many. And Upanishad gives you 3 examples and as an illustration. So one example would have been sufficient, but it repeats to 3 to ensure that we understand it correctly. And it says, Ekena mritpindena sarvam mrunmayam vijnata vacharambanam vikaro namadhiyam muttikityeva satyam. So that one from the clod of the mud, many things are coming, pots and vessels and all that. So it is by looking at any pot, I can know that what is the cause for the pot. So cause for the pot is not the pot itself, because there was a time where pot was not there. So what was there before? Clay was there. Now what is now? Is clay is not there, but pot is there. So what happened to the clay? Clay itself is appearing as the pot, and if the pot is broken, it can go back into clay if you powder it, and so on and so forth. And a better example is the scripture itself is Ekena lohamanna sarvam lohamayam vijnata vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam lohamicheva satyam. This is a gold example is given. It says looking at any ring or a bangle, it says what is it? It's a ring. So what is the material for this? This ring is made up of, it is gold. From gold it came, by gold it is sustained, and into gold it goes back. Is gold really transformed into a ring? No. Gold appearing as a ring. So there is an apparent transformation, and that's what the Vedantins call it as a vivarta. Whereas in the parinama is gold transforming completely, losing the qualities of the gold and becoming a ring. Nobody wants that, because they can make a ring out of gold only because gold is preserved. So value for the gold, make sure that they won't lose any gold in the transformation of a biscuit of gold to the ring or a bangle or a necklace. So knowing gold, I know all things. In the same way, knowing Brahman, I know the whole creation itself is nothing but Brahman itself appearing as different. So if I get carried away with the appearance, then I get and forget the cause for it, then I get into samsara. He is different, she is different, it is different, the whole world is different, and you can keep on going on because the whole world is persecuting me as though I am separate from the whole world. If I recognize that everything is nothing but gold in it, I have what I call samadarshanam, equal vision, because what I am seeing is in and through various names and forms, I have equanimity of it is nothing but Brahman only. In and through every ornament, gold ring or a bangle, I am seeing samatvam, samadarshanam, is I am seeing only gold only in all different names and forms. So that is being the essence of it. Instead of gold, he is using the clay here as a example. I will do 61. Ekamrut pinda vijnana Ekamrutpinda Vijnana Sarvam Brahmaya Dhiryada Sarvam Brahmaya Dhiryatha Tadaika Brahma Bodhena Jagad Buddhihi Vibhavyatam together Ekamrut Pinda Vijnana Sarvamunmaya Dhiryatha Tadaika Brahma Bodhena Jagad Buddhihi Vibhavyatam. So Yatha, just as Ekamrut Pinda Vijnana, by knowing one part, Nutpinda Vijnana, by having a knowledge of one part. So when I look at the part, what is the knowledge that I am going to gain? First is immediate knowledge is its a form, so Rupam, and they say this is a part. So I give a name for the Rupam, the part name is for the part room. So is that all the knowledge? So I can say additional qualifications, how big is the part and what is the shape and how is the part, stomach is different from the neck and all that. All those descriptions is only shape related of the part. And I can tap it and make sound of it. It's called Gharavadyam. So depending upon the nature of that part, I can get different sounds. That's why people select those who play Ghatam, called Ghatavadyam. They are very particular in terms of what kind of part they want, and they protect the part that they have selected to make sure that it doesn't give wrong sounds, because when moisture is absorbed, sometimes the sound will change. So they want to make sure that they can play same sound and properly, and therefore the sound is coming because of the shape of the pot and also the material of the pot. If it is the same size and same shape but not made of the clay and made up of say metal, I get a different sound, because metallic sound. So the pot, all the shapes, Sabdas Varsa Rupa Rasa Gandha, all properties of the product is from this shape and so on. And what else I can know from the pot? So how does it come from? What is the material? Is it iron or is it gold or is it mud or something? This is come from the mud, because before it was pot, it was a mud. Now it is a pot, and we can, if it breaks down and becomes a powder and then mixed with water, it becomes back into the clay itself. So clay it was, now pot and clay later. So if I know pot is nothing but the clay only, it's only form. So knowing one pot, I know the properties of all clay by knowing the clay, and therefore I can look at any other shape and say this is also clay, that's also clay, this is also clay. And same simple analysis is, this ring is also gold, necklace is also gold, bracelet is also gold. So we know it is a gold, therefore we preserve the ornament because it is made of gold. Since I recognize the gold properties also along with the particular shape and so on. So Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam Bhavati. The proposition why this example is, if I know clay, I know in essence all the clay products. If I know gold, in essence I know all the gold products. So Eka Mrutpinda Vijnana. So Mrutpinda is the clay in the palm, is Vijnana. Sarvam Unmayam Dhiryadha. All things that are pervading by the clay can be recognized by Dhi. Dhi means Buddhi. Intellectually or can cognize. You don't have to break the pot in order to know it's a clay. Without breaking the pot, I can conceptually recognize that it is nothing but clay only. Without destroying the ring, I can know that it is made up of gold, not iron. Same way, here talking about Mutpindam. Tadaika Brahma Bodhena Jagad Buddhihi Vibhavyate. Same thing has to apply, because this is a Vedanta where Upanishad is using this example to indicate a Laukika example that we are all familiar with, that something beyond the objectifiable things, that is from Brahman, which is infinite. Same thing, anything I can know, anything that exists, Sat part, anything that is conscious, the Chit part, and anything that is happy, From that part, I can see that all came from the same, each one exhibiting different aspects of that Brahman, but Brahman is alone. So knowing one thing, I can know everything Brahman. That means even one thought, one object is sufficient for me to test and look at the conceptually recognize that it is a Brahman. So Tadhaika Brahma Bodhena, by knowing that everything is nothing but Brahman himself became many. Once I understood many are nothing but Brahman alone. And how did it become? For becoming, it needs a apparent the force, and that's essentially Maya. Tadaika Brahma Bodhena Jagat Buddhi Vibhavyatam. So Jagat Buddhi, recognize that world, in the world, whatever I see is nothing but Brahman only. That has to be understood by Vedanta and applied, because application is again by the mind, and mind cannot see Brahman. In the case of gold ring, I can see, recognize that it is a gold and not an iron. So because gold has certain properties that I can see, but whereas Brahman, property or so-called property is nothing but existence, consciousness and Ananda, which imperceptible, therefore I cannot see it, but that's what it is. So that's where the difficult part, that looking at every object in the world is nothing but Brahman only. Brahman in this form, Brahman in that form. So the whole samsara is gone. You get an equal vision. Once I have the vision of the Brahman, I can transact. In the transactional world, I can know that once I know it's a gold, I can transact with a ring and a bangle and a necklace, knowing whether it's only one, but it's gold. Same way, knowing Brahman, I can still transactionally, I can differentiate, knowing the unity that pervades in this. Now, what exactly that Brahman is in this is being emphasized in the next sloka, 62. Satchit Sukhatmakam Brahma, Satchit Sukhatmakam Brahma, Nama Rupatmakam Jagat, Nama Rupatmakam Jagat, Tapaniye Shrutim Brahma, Tapaniye Shrutim Brahma, Satchid Ananda Lakshanam, Satchid Ananda Lakshanam. Together, Satchit Sukhatmakam Brahma, Nama Rupatmakam Jagat, Tapaniye Shrutim Brahma, Satchid Ananda Lakshanam. So, such Chit and Sukhatmakam. So Sukha Atmakam means the essence of this whole universe is nothing but Sat, Chit and Sukham. Satam, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam or Satchit Anandam. So this Anandameva Sukham, Sukhameva Anantam, all that follows, but one is Sat, pure existence, Chit, pure consciousness, and happiness, Ananda, are three aspects that are being exhibited by the Brahman, as though that which is of the nature of Satchidananda. Brahman is Nama Rupa Atmakam. When it transforms as though into world of plurality, you say nothing but Brahman only, appearing as different names for different forms, just as gold itself appearing as rings and the bangles and necklace with the different names and different forms. So form and the name Nama, Rupa, it goes through for each ornament. The same way Nama, Rupa goes through with all objects in the world. So what is the essence of every object in the world? Brahman only. But I can't see the Brahman. Because Brahman is infinite, you cannot see. If you say it exists, that existence itself is expressing in terms of the object existence. So existence itself is expressed as it is, and then what is there on top of it? It is, you can say, it is this, it is that, and so on. This, that forms to name and a form. And this is stated in the Tapaniya Upanishad. Tapaniya Shruti means Tapaniya Upanishad. This is Brahman, and it is of the nature of Satchidananda Lakshanam. It is of the nature of Sat, Chit and Ananda. So 33. Sadrupa Marinihi Praha, Sadrupa Marinihi Praha, Prajnanam Brahma Brugvachaha Prajnanam Brahma Brugvachaha Sanatkumaraha Anandameva Anandameva Anyatra Gamyatam Sanatkumaraha Anandam Eva Anyatra Gamyatam. So Sadrupam Aruni Praha. So Aruni is the Uddalaka, that is Aruna's son. So Aruni in the Chandogya Upanishad, says there he discusses about, in that Upanishad Upanishad talks about Sat was alone, Sadeva Soumya Idamagram Asit Ekameva Advitiyam. So that's how the Upanishad starts describing, says knowing one thing, you know everything. So the student, his own son Svedaketu, wants to know what is that. Says therefore what was there before is Sat, existence, and that is Brahman, that is Ekam Eva Advitiyam. There is nothing other than Sat. So that is Brahman. So Brahman is being defined in terms of Sat Swarupam. So Sadrupam Arunihi Praha Prajnanam Brahma Vachaha. So in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says that Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma is in the Rig Veda. Essentially, the Upanishad says is that the nature of Brahman is Prajnanam. Consciousness is Brahman. And one says existence is Brahman, another says consciousness is Brahman. And Sanat Kumaraha Anandam Eva. So in the Chandogya Upanishad, in a different chapter, where Sanat Kumara teaches the Narada, and there the starting point is that Ananda is Brahman. Anantameva Anandam. So Ananda is Brahman is from Sanat Kumara in one Upanishad and one chapter of that, and Sat is emphasized in another chapter, and the Chit is emphasized in the another Upanishad. So if you put all together, it says what is the nature of Brahman? It is the same Brahman everyone is talking about from different aspects of it. From the existent point, it is a Brahman. Brahman has to exist. We are not talking about non-existent Brahman. And from the consciousness point, it is Brahman. Therefore, consciousness is Brahman, infinite. So you cannot say Brahman has little bit of conscious entity and unconscious entity. So that violates the scriptural statement. Therefore, it says Prajnanam Brahma. And Sanat Kumaraha, in the another Upanishad, Sanat Kumara says that to the Narada, so what is the nature of Brahman? Is Ananda. Why? Because the student was crying because I don't know what is Ananda. I am very unhappy. Therefore he says no Brahman, because that is the nature of happiness. So therefore three different Upanishads are talking about the same Brahman from different angles. That's why Tattva Samanvaya. One has to bring a coherency in this, and therefore what is the nature of Brahman? Sat, Chit, Ananda. They are not separate and they are not qualifications. That is a Swarupa Lakshanam. It's their intrinsic nature of Brahman has to exist, and that existent is a nature of consciousness, and being infinite, it is Ananda. So Ananda is not it has a happiness. It is nature of happiness because it is limitless. Any limitation contributes to unhappiness. Therefore, it is Ananda Swarupam. So that is Sanat Kumaraha Anandam Eva. So Anyatra Gamyatam. So this is what all the other scriptures also is emphasized thus. Other than the Tapaniya Upanishad, in the other Upanishads also that nature of Brahman is being defined. That's what here Vidyaranya means. 64. Vichitya sarvarupani krutva namani tishtati aham vyakara vani me namarupe iti srutehi. Together. Vichitya sarvarupani krutva namani tishtati aham vyakara vani me namarupe iti srutehi. So sarvarupani, therefore having Upanishads is telling that where is God, how is God. So it's not anywhere in the heaven or somewhere else. Everything you see is nothing but Brahman only. Space, time, everything in the universe that you find is nothing but Vichitra, the varieties and varieties of name. Sarva Rupane, all forms. Rupa includes Sabda Sparsa Rupa Rasa Gandha. Anything that you experience, anything that you do, anything you do is nothing but Brahman. That's exactly what Krishna was saying in that Brahmarpanam, Brahmavihi, Brahmagnyo, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva, Tena Gandhavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. The one who is, the ladies is Brahman, the ghee is Brahman, the fire is Brahman, the home is Brahman, and the one who is pouring is also Brahman, and the result that comes out of it is also Brahman. So there is nothing other than Brahman, and that is therefore Sarva Rupani Vichitya. So therefore Sarva Rupani, all forms Vichitya, having contemplated on it or thought of, Namani Krutva. So you give up the name and a form, that superficial name and a form. So Naman, the having created, Tishtati exists, Aham I, Ime Nama Rupam, Vyakaravani. So how is that? Says I am going to project myself in that. So in the Upanishad it says Bhavusyam Praja Eti Tadaichyata. It saw, because nothing else to say other than it became conscious of its own self. And Tadaichyata Bhavusyam, let me become many. So I am only one right now, let me become many. And therefore it became many. So this becoming many is a transformationless transformation. Gold thought, let me become many. Therefore it became many ornaments without undergoing any real transformation. Brahman, without going any real transformation, appears as many. So I am because the Atma, because that's how this Upanishad this chapter is starting, because I am is the consciousness and existence that I am is to be understood as limitless, and I myself became many, and that has to be understood. So Aham, I, Ime Namarupi, these names and forms that I see is Vyakaravani, is a projection of my own self in that. So either you can say the Lord himself is appearing as many, or from the Jnani point, the I myself is in different forms. So I can not hate anything or love something, attachment, all those things have no meaning once I understand that I myself is projected everything also. 65. Avyakrutam pura srishti urdham vyakriyate dvaida. Vyurdham avyakrutam pura srishti urdham vyakriyate dvida. Achincha shakti mayaisha achincha shaktihi mayaisha brahmanya vyakruti bhida brahmanya vyakruti bhida. Together, Avyakrutam pura srishti urdhvam vyakriyate dvida achincha shaktihi mayaisha brahmanya vyakruta bhida. So srishti pura, before the creation what was there? Before the creation, Avyakrutam, the world in an unmanifested form. It is one without a second. Ekameva advitiyam sadeva saumya idamagram asid. Before the creation, what was there? Existence alone was there. So then what happened to the existence? Says Shankaracharya says, be careful and see what it says. Existence alone was there. Now existence appearing as many. So existence, nothing happened to existence, because existence cannot cease to exist. Only thing that can happen to existence is not having existence. That's the opposite of existence. But it cannot cease to exist because that non-existence exists, you have to say. So there is no way existence can disappear. So Sushte Pura, before creation, Avyakrutam, it's only in the unmanifested form. Urdhvam, later during the creation, says Dvida, it in two ways, and in terms of what? Two means name and a form. So one form and a name. Name means knowledge of the form. Is naming is knowing. So therefore, conscious entity and form, object entity are coming into subject-object reality is coming there in terms of two ways. Vyakriyate is manifested. Brahmani in Brahman, Achintya Shakti, how does it form? Achintya Shakti, unimaginable power, and that is called Maya. So that Achintya Shakti Maya, Esha, this Avyakruta Abhidam, and this is the one that made in one into many. So this Avyakruta Shakti, where was it? It is with the Brahman only. In Brahman, there is no real Avyakruta Shakti. So this is because apparently is there in the apparent creation. So for the one who has seen creation, Maya is there, and we drop out the Maya once we realize that there is no creation. Therefore, there is no Maya also. With that, we will stop here and we will do the next talk. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.